was a really nice place in Florida, which wasn't as warm as what I would have liked it to be when I was there. But
Yeah.
We are recording.
Perfect. Thanks, Daryl. So we'll call to order the March 26th, 2024 Colorado NENA APCO chapter meeting. It is 9:34, and it looks like we have all of the board or most of the board on the call. First item on the agenda is approval of the January 30th, 2024 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments? None. I will take a motion to approve the January 30th, 2024 meeting of minutes.
this is Kathy. I so move.
This is Ken, I second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Kathy, a second by Ken. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Perfect. Next on the agenda, we have appreciation. And was that you, Jennifer, that put that in?
That's a standing agenda item.
Okay. I guess from my perspective on the appreciation with the conference, obviously right around the corner, I'd like to thank this group and then the conference committee group specifically for all the work that you guys have all been doing on the conference. I think it's going to be a good one. I briefly peeked at the attendee registrations, and it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, but we're in like the 150s, almost 160s now.
Yep.
Which I think is quite a bit. I think we had 142 last year was roughly the total, I think is what I was told. So we've increased. So that's pretty exciting. We're kind of on the tail end. So some final wrap up stuff, but thank you to everybody that's participated in that. It's a lot of work, and I'm happy that I don't have to do it next year. So any other discussion?
Come back for more?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be around, but yeah, I'm not going to be I won't be the person in charge, if you will. Any other appreciation from the group that the group would like to talk about?
I have one. I want to thank Kathy for affecting the storage unit switch. She went and moved all that stuff by herself and negotiated and contracted with the new storage place. And I think she's still fighting with the old storage place, trying to get out of our contract. And I went and took some stuff over to the new storage space. So all of the conference stuff is there. It's in a great location. It's easy to get to. It's very secure. So, and when you unload, you don't have to be out in the weather. So thank you very much for doing that, Kathy.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that.
Yep.
The other appreciation I would like to give is for the folks that showed up at the Capitol, whether it be via phone calls or in person for support of 1016. The folks that did testimony, there were quite a few of them. So appreciate all of that and the support. I think that was awesome that it went through so quickly and easily. Led a lot of people to ask the question, why did it take so long if it was going to be this easy? So I think it's good stuff. So congrats on that, and to everybody that participated in that. Thank you so much. Any other appreciation before we get into Jody's treasurer report? No? Jody, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me, guys?
Yep, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, we're having some trouble not only with our server, but also accessing the bank account. So what I have for current checking balance is $18,804.96. A lot of the increase in funding is coming from those self-pays, not through Eventbrite for the conference, including the vendors. So we have several sponsorships and vendor payments that are coming through our invoicing system rather than Eventbrite. which I still don't quite understand because they don't pay by credit card on Eventbrite, but then I send out an AffiniPay and they pay by credit card. So I haven't quite wrapped my head around that one yet, but that's why that balance is sitting a little bit different. And our savings is $74,196.14. We haven't really touched that. The credit card is paid off. We put a few different items on their conference for the storage unit and whatnot, but that balance is zero. Outstanding, we don't really have anything outstanding right now. I'm just not really moving anything until we figure out how much we're going to end up owing for the conference. So I think that's all I really have for the treasurer's report, unless somebody has a question for me.
I have a quick question, and either you or Jennifer can answer. How does Eventbrite work, please? Do we get, what do they charge out of this? And I thought we.
All right, Tyler, I'll turn it back to you.
Explain it to me, please.
Tyler, if you're talking, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. What was that? Somebody was just asking me a different question.
Oh, I just have a question. How?
Nope, I'm good. If nobody has
how do
any
they pay
questions, I'll
us?
turn it
Do they
back to
take
you.
a fee out of it? It looks like they do. I'm just wondering. If we don't have an answer, we can move on.
Sorry. One more time, Ken. You were kind of blurred.
The Eventbrite, how do we get
Sure.
paid from them?
That I don't know. I know, Jennifer, you've done the Eventbrite stuff in the past. Nobody's really told us how we get paid from them. I can reach out to Matt and see. Jennifer, were you in charge of Eventbrite last year for the conference?
Yeah, but I'm lost in this conversation.
So Ken's asking, basically, we collect the fees through Eventbrite. How do we get paid from them? Do they?
Sorry, I didn't hear Ken either, Jen. So all I hear is Tyler.
Yeah. Are you having like a side conversation with Ken?
No, Ken.
No,
asked the
I heard
question.
him.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken. Ask the question again.
I just put it in the chat also. For
Ken is
Eventbrite,
frozen
I think
on my
if I
screen.
remember correctly, we get our money from them after the conference. But my original understanding is they don't take a fee from us. But on the Google Sheets that Jennifer's been putting together, there is
anybody else
on there.
hearing
I'm just
anything?
checking.
Yes.
Just wondering.
Okay, Ken. Ken, it sounds like you're not going through to the rest of the group, but I'm hearing you, and it sounds like Kathy's hearing you. So, Jennifer, the question that Ken has is on your spreadsheet. Eventbrite shows that they collect a fee for using their stuff. Do they pay us after the conference, and do we pay them that fee, or do we get the full amount? Is what Ken's question is, and he put it in the chat as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my stuff. Sorry.
Jennifer, I had to go out and come back in, and now I can hear Ken. So,
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
I'm
Yes.
usually
Okay.
pretty loud and people can hear me from across the
Eventbrite
room.
keeps their fee and pays us out the rest.
And Jennifer, do they pay us after the conference, or when do we get the money from Eventbrite?
They pay us out after the event is done.
Okay.
All
So
right, we'll
Ken,
move on.
does that make sense, Ken?
I didn't hear her at all.
Okay, so Ken,
Ken, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So Eventbrite pulls their Kathy. You're killing me here. We're having some major sound issues. Eventbrite will not pay us out until after the event is closed and we've deemed that we have received all payments that we anticipate. Once we do that, Jennifer lets them know, and then they deposit our amount minus their fees into the bank account all at once. It is broken down by a deposit for vendors, a deposit for attendees, and a deposit for pre-con, or at least it was last year. But yeah, so we don't get that minus the fees until after we tell them the event is closed.
Okay, great. That's all I need to know.
okay. Sorry, Ken, it sounds like some people could hear Jennifer and then some people couldn't hear you. So, because Chris just walked over, he's like, I don't hear Jennifer. I'm like, oh, I hear her just fine. So, hopefully we can figure that out. Anything else, Jody, from the treasurer's report?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Committee chair reports. So finance committee, Kathy.
The only thing I have to report is, and just so Jody knows, I did check the mailbox this morning while I was out, and there was nothing there at all. No conference payments, anything. So, well, I take that back. There was something from US Bank offering us a credit card, but other than that, no.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I will make a note of that then. And I'll circle back with you guys later on the non-payments. So
Perfect. Jennifer is back on. Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Can everybody hear Jennifer?
Yes.
Weird technology. I just wanted to say thanks to Jody for working on getting the chapter a Venmo account. I think it's going to be a lot easier to accept payments for coins, t-shirts, tumblers, whatever else the chapter chooses to sell in the future. And we tried it out because it's set up as a charity account. It's a little bit different, and it sounds like they take fees, but I know Jody did an awful lot of research on it, so thank you for that.
yeah, that's probably something Kathy and I should bring up for the finance committee. So the one thing about the Venmo that is a little awkward is it has to be attached to a cell phone number. So currently our Venmo and our login are attached to my Venmo account, even though it's separate as the chapter, as a charity, as a separate bank account. So Kathy and I are at some point going to sit down and work through a policy and procedure on the best way to make sure that somebody else is able to do a check and balance on this. And then when there's a new treasurer, we're going to have to figure out how to transfer that over to their cell phone there, because they have the dual factor authentication on it as well. But there is no desktop login for Venmo. But along with that, we did have to set up a PayPal charity. So we also have that option for payment if people use PayPal and not Venmo. So it kind of worked both ways, but it is a little complicated because it has to be attached to something else. So we'll work through that, but we'll get some sort of policy lined out for probably once we get to conference and we can sit together and say, well, we can do this or we can do that. And then we'll get that before the board.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other discussion on the finance committee? Not hearing any. Membership committee, Scott, are you on? Or does anybody have any updates from the membership committee side? Not hearing any on the agenda. It's not showing us any updates. So we'll move on to the conference committee. Kind of what we've already talked about. Conference is basically this month because we're basically in April. I think we're in a good spot. Ken and I need to touch base on some signage stuff and just make sure we've got what we think we need for signage. I still haven't received any of the giveaways, if you will, from any of our vendors. So we're waiting to see if those show up. And then Kathy, I still need to get with you to get over to the storage unit to kind of grab whatever we think we need to take up. And then we can make sure that we get it all up there. So that's kind of where we're at as a conference committee. I know, Jennifer, you asked about the parking, and I know we'll talk about at the next meeting. We have a meeting coming up on the 3rd at 1 o'clock, I believe. Meeting invite's been sent out to the group. As far as the parking goes, it's free. As Kathy stated, it's part of our registration, or we contracted prior to the parking fee implementation. We do have a code that we'll do a printout, and then I was going to ask the group next week on the conference call if we want to post that on the website. I would venture to guess we probably do, but we can kind of decide from there. But the parking is free when we go up there. That's pretty much all I have for the conference stuff for the most part, unless anybody wants to add anything that I might be forgetting. Menus have been decided, all that good stuff. Jennifer, do you want to give an update on, I know Ken will give an update on the vendor stuff maybe for the group, but can you give an update on like the attendees and where we're at money-wise potentially?
Oh, yeah. We have, as you said, about 150 attendees, which is fantastic. That includes our speakers who got free registration, but we'll have a good showing of people there. We have 40 people attending the pre-conference class so far. So we've got another 10 spots for that. We've been putting out little teaser stuff on our Facebook to kind of bump up registration. And I did have a question about the contract for next year. So I'm still looking it over and comparing it to last year, or basically this year's contract. And I haven't done the contract work for the conference ever. So I'm just going through it and making sure that it looks all right. And then I'm going to send it out to all of you to review. And then I know we had generally agreed that we were going to go there for the 2025 conference, but I think we'll still need to vote to officially approve and sign the contract. So look for that over the next day or two after I get done reviewing it.
Yeah, and Jennifer, the one thing I would say that I learned this year, so I think in the contract there's 180 or 188 nights that we agreed to sell. That includes the 5 nights per, or I'm sorry, you get 5 nights per day of the conference for our staff. So a total of like 15 additional rooms for staff folks. What I've found is that our staff folks are just booking through the link, which is totally fine. So maybe just combining those as one, so you don't have a separate staff room, if you will, because they reserve those separately, and then you have to manually send them a list. So what I've done this year is I've just asked them to include that into our overall count as availability, because a lot of our folks have already made reservations via the link.
Okay.
So they were fine with that. The only other thing that I would, we're on the hook for 180 if that's what we agree to. I can tell you last year, I think we only sold 152 nights, and we were contracted for, I think, 180. So do the math at whatever that rate is. We're on the hook for a little bit. What I did this year, they're in the contract, you do have a 10% reduction that you can do, I think, either 30 or 60 days out. I did take that reduction. So we're still committed to 160, but we still have about 15 nights, I should say, left that we still have to sell that we're potentially on the hook for if we don't sell. So I guess where I'm going with that, Jennifer, is really evaluate the 180. Do we need that many, or is it maybe really realistically like 160 nights, and then you can use your 10% reduction that'll get you to 140-ish, 145-ish, and then we're not on the hook.
That's super helpful. That's actually the main reason I hadn't sent it around yet, because I thought that the room numbers were high based on how we've done the last couple of years, and I wanted to see if I could negotiate that down. And I see Gina had her hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Gina. Feel free to jump in.
I just want to add one thing that I don't know if everybody realizes, but the government rate is cheaper than our discounted rate for the conference. And so I know that last year and again this year, I know there were people booking their room under the government rate, which does not help the conference at all, because it's anywhere from $20 to $35 a night cheaper.
Yeah, and we've had that conversation with the hotel. The contracted rate is what they give. They are not going to honor the government rate. They've stated, obviously, we want to share with our folks, right? Where if you're trying to help the chapter, if you're attending the conference, we hope that you book via the link. Obviously, people can book outside of that. We can't control that. But as far as getting them to lower it, I know I had that conversation this year because Matt had brought that up, Gina, last year as some of the pass on to me. They're not going to change their rate because it's just part of the package for renting out the venue. So the rate is the rate. I get it. But that's kind of where we're at with that, unfortunately.
But it is definitely something we should take into consideration if we're going to be negotiating how many rooms we're on the hook for.
Yeah,
because
that's why I think
people are booking using the government rate instead, and that very well might be why we're not meeting our room numbers.
Yep, good possibility. The other thing is I think we have 15 nights left, but I'm not sure all of our vendors, if they're getting rooms, have booked rooms yet. So we're kind of holding out hope that maybe some of these vendors will pick up some of those nights. we'll see.
Well, that's why I raised my hand in this. You know, the vendors, one of the reasons they like our shows, it's one day and they can get the hell out of there. So my guess is we probably have 1 or 2 vendors staying the night. That's probably about it. I don't see a lot of them hanging around the bar, which is a very common place to find vendors. Once that show's over, they are an I-25 at 5:03.
Yep. Yeah, and in full transparency, when I met with Matt, when I got handed the conference, you know, apparently that's what we did the year before, and he said it was fine. I don't know if he took the reduction or not. I'm assuming he took the reduction. That's one of the things that I caught pretty quick, that you know, if we only had 142 people attend last year, there's no way you're selling potentially 180 nights. So I would definitely, Jennifer, that was one thing that I was going to pass on. Yeah, I would definitely look at reducing the number of nights that we're committed to. And like Gina said, if folks are going to be booking outside of that and using the government rate, then maybe we drop it even more, just so that we're safe. And if people don't get on early and book and they have to stay somewhere else, or they have to book through a different channel, then, you know, that's just unfortunately what it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful. I will work with the hotel to try and negotiate that before I send around the contract for everybody's review.
Any other conference committee updates from the rest of the committee members that are on?
Yep, I'll do my. You guys ready for the industry partners vendors?
Yeah, let's go for it, Ken.
Well, so far so good. We've got 42 booths, and we've got 42 booths sold. So we've done well with that. I'm working right now with I'm waiting. Can someone text Mo and ask her to pick her booth, or I'm going to move on to the bronzes? Well, I'm going to move on to the bronzes today anyway. So
I will text her again, Ken.
all the other silvers have picked their booth. I didn't hear back from the platinum sponsors, so I gave them the same space as last year. And we're moving along to getting all the booths locked down. And then as soon as I get that done, I'll be sending them information on the what they need to do to ship their product there and all that. So making good progress. And you know, looking at that, I think we're around $44,000. 48 right now. I got to double check all that, but yeah, we're looking pretty good.
And Ken, you got them the vendor packets, or you're sending them the vendor packets from the hotel?
Yeah, I need their booth number first before they do that, so they can get their booth number on their, when they're talking to the Embassy Suites, they've got their booth number to relate everything to.
Okay, so RSL sent you the packet though?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got that.
Okay,
I got that a couple months ago, so we're all good there.
Yeah, and if you could just remind the vendors, Ken, to have all that. If they have swag that they want us to put in our bags, that they can ship it to me.
Okay.
Prior to, and I don't remember what we put a date on it. What was it, like the 15th of April? I think is what our deadline was.
Okay.
That we need to receive it, so they probably need to, in the next week or two, get it shipped if they're going to ship anything.
I'll send out another email on that.
Perfect.
And make sure they know to ship either it to Tyler, or if they're going to have it shipped to the venue, that's fine, but don't ship it to the chapter address.
Yeah, this is just for swag, and then all the instructions to ship their trade show supplies comes with the Embassy Suites package. I got a great PDF. It's
okay. I just like to remind them, because the one year we had like 6 big boxes showed up over at our mailbox. So, yeah.
Yeah, if we can get the swag sent to me prior to, we wanted to do a lot of the bag stuff.
What address again, Tyler?
It's 9195 East Mineral Avenue, Centennial 80112. And just attention me.
Yep.
So, perfect. Any other questions, comments?
Tyler, have you gotten any boxes of materials from either National APCO or National NINA?
No, I have not gotten anything. The only swag that I've gotten is from Central Square. I haven't gotten anything else from anybody. I did order some chapter stickers. So our logo, the NINA APCO logo that we have for Colorado, I did make up some stickers, if you will, that we'll throw in the bags as giveaways and all that good stuff, so people can put them on water bottles or whatever. So we've got little things like that, but outside of that, no one has sent us anything.
Okay, I'll reach out to both national orgs, or Ronnie can, because those requests, when we put in the requests for representation, I included that we wanted national swag. So it should have shown up by now. So I'll coordinate with Ronnie, and one of us will reach out to national and get some stuffs.
Okay. While we're on the topic of the conference, do you want to do the conference committee group, Jennifer, or do you want to ask the board as far as Karen's request?
Oh, well, when you were talking about the rooms, if we're on the hook for all these rooms anyway, then we might as well take one of those rooms and pay for the night that she's asking for.
Okay.
We asked for representation, which we do every year. We're unfortunate that the APCO group is so strapped for time, and they're basically, our APCO rep is coming in and doing the update and helping swear in and then leaving. So they're not around for any of the support, but Nina is sending their second vice president, Leanne Magoski, and now Karen, who obviously is part of our home chapter. And Karen asked for one hotel room night and a registration for the conference. And when we fill out the form, we say whether or not we've got that offered to our national reps if they come. So I don't see a downside to covering one hotel room night, and then the speaker or the free registration, we're covering basically Karen's meals. So I feel like it's not worth burning any goodwill that we might burn with Nina to say no when we've already got hotel rooms that we're on the hook for anyway.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
Okay. The group agrees. Jennifer, if you just want to send me all of Karen's information, I'll get her added to our list of folks that we're covering for nights, and then the night that she needs.
Okay, so she makes the res, and then you just need the confirmation number like the others.
Well, we could do that, or if you want, like what we did with the keynote, is I just provided name and date of arrival, date of checkout, and then they just have that. They actually book the reservation on their side. So either or, it doesn't matter. Whatever's easiest.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
I think we're lucky to have Karen here in the state, and I'm glad that Nina is there to support the whole conference. And when they're here, they're walking around and they're interacting, and it's really nice to have national representation at our state conference. So thanks a lot for the support.
Awesome. Anything else on conference committee stuff? Outreach committee, Ashley.
I don't have anything.
Sorry, I need one more thing. Jennifer, can you get me? I have vendors requesting a list of the attendees. I usually only send it out to people who request, which generally is 1 or 2 vendors a year. Can you get me a link to that, please? So Monica's looking for it, and I have one other. I told him just to wait a little closer.
Yeah, that's on the spreadsheet for attendees.
Is it?
But I don't have email addresses for all of the attendees. So
That's
I have names, but I don't have email addresses because they aren't required to put in email addresses for every attendee. So it should be there for you. Let me know if you can't see it.
No, can't see it. I don't know where I'm missing it.
Okay, I'll make sure you're added.
Okay.
But it should be in that same folder as the vendor registrations, and it's a different, it says conference attendees.
Oh, okay. I just shortcut straight to my Excel sheet, whatever it is. And
Oh, I'll just send you the link then.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, Ashley, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I don't have any updates.
No updates. Okay. Perfect. Technology.
Was that for outreach committee?
Correct.
Okay, I have a question for Ashley.
Yes, what is it?
Would you be interested in coordinating and working together on a chapter current and past alumni get-together thing in the fall?
Sure. Do you have like a plan or a thought of where you want to do that, or?
Well, this is like the beginning of the thought, and I wanted to bring it up at the chapter meeting because those of us, we had a lot of people attend Vicki Pickett's memorial service, and it was really, well, it was a really nice service and really did a nice job celebrating Vicky's life. But as you can imagine, there were a lot of NINA APCO members there, and we all, got together and we're talking to each other, and it was nice to get together, but not for such a sad occasion. So I thought maybe it might be nice for the chapter to hold a fun kind of party get together in the fall, not in the winter, so we could figure out where we have it and it's easier for people to travel into, but just kind of a nice party get together for members to gather that isn't attached to a conference where they have to pay to come.
Okay.
And I don't want to break the chapter's bank here, but I'd love to see if you're interested in fleshing that idea out more, and if the chapter board is interested in that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have thoughts or?
I'm for it. If you want to work with Ashley, I guess the biggest question is for Jody. Can we afford it?
Right. And maybe if we do it in nice enough weather, we do it at a park where we don't have to rent facility space, and maybe we just cater with light refreshments instead of expensive stuff. But I think it would be nice for the chapter to have some sort of get together like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. Let's work on it.
Okay. Thanks.
Anything else for outreach for Ashley while she's on? Technology committee, Patrick or Daryl?
I don't think I have a lot to report. I don't see Patrick on. I think the board did see that the mobile app in the Google store is changing. Basically, Google is requiring proof that we're an actual organization. So they want a DUNS number, which you get from Dun and Street, Dun and Bradley, I think. I'm forgetting the name of the organization now, but it's not hard to get a DUNS number, but it sounded like there was a lot more to that. So OCV, which is the company that provides our app, offered to let us be on their account. And it sounded like that was the consensus. So Patrick was going to take care of that because he has all of the Google Play Store credentials. And I have not heard from him yet if that, thank you, Ken, Dun and Bradstreet, something in there. I knew I was close. I have not heard from him yet whether that transition is complete. But other than that, I've just been updating the website when we get new sponsors. I have put in all of the sponsors in the app as well. Last year, we also had a list of all of the exhibitors in the app, but I don't have a list of the exhibitors. So Ken, I don't know if you can get me a list of all of the exhibitors and I can put them in the app as well. But at least, if nothing else, we do have the sponsors in there. And I saw a thumbs up from Ken, so I'll watch for that. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to report.
Perfect. Thank you. Educational committee. Valerie, are you on? Says no updates, but I don't think I see her on. Anybody else have any educational updates?
This is Jennifer. We had talked at the last meeting about finding some places to host classes for our NINA APCO classes that we want to put on later in the year. And I will put out a call again. If anyone has a classroom or space that they would be willing to offer up, once I find some places, or once we, I should say, find some places that are willing to host, then we can start working on coordinating which classes we want to bring and going with that process.
Jennifer, we're always happy to host. Our space is limited, so the sooner we know the space that's needed and the time frame, the better. So if you have some tentative dates that you were thinking, let me know. I can go look and see if we have the space.
Perfect. Thank you. And Gina, I think I remember you had said Garfield would be willing.
Yeah, we've got an on-site room that'll fit several dozen people at least. And then we also have access, depending on dates, to a couple of other rooms with some of our user agencies that might be bigger. So we are happy to help facilitate that.
Awesome. It'd be great to have some on Front Range and Western Slope. Cool.
Perfect. We'll wait to hear from Jennifer on some dates. Bylaws Committee, Kathy.
I have not yet, just due to some personal stuff going on, not had a chance to go through everything. I have had some emails back and forth with Jennifer on this as well. And as Jody indicated earlier, we need to go through some of the financial bylaws and update those to reflect what our current practices are. Jennifer, I think, and I are going to work through a lot of the bylaws. Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that's the email that you and I had. Is that not right?
No, that's a
Okay. I was looking at your face. I'm like, she looks like she doesn't remember what I'm talking about. So I wanted to make sure I was saying it correctly. Okay. So yes, we will get those reviewed and make changes and then submit them as soon as possible.
Thank you for that.
And Tyler, no, I also know that some of the staff at South Metro offered to help with that as well.
Yep, I believe Sarah Shover
Yep.
is willing to help.
Yep.
So feel free to reach out to her. I think you have her contact.
I do.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, feel free to reach out to her. Same with Brittany Yeager. I think she was willing to jump in as well. So
Sounds
either
good.
one of
Thank
them.
you.
I don't see Nate on the call, but for chapter historian, it doesn't show any updates. Does anybody have any updates for chapter historian?
I added, I sent to Nate and Daryl added to our chapter histories on the website. John Kyler had put together a really nice historical document. So we added that. And then if you go through your RPL, module 6 or 5, I can't remember which one, is all about how to walk through the APCO bylaws and your own chapter and that kind of thing. So there's a document now on the website that helps people find that for their RPL class. But I would love for Nate and Daryl to coordinate on getting our March 15th 911 designated as first responders date on that calendar.
I will do that.
I think Nate is on vacation until tomorrow. He was on the West Coast.
Lucky him.
All right, I can reach out to Nate too, but Daryl, yeah, if you can look at that, and I can reach out to Nate when he gets back just to make sure to follow up.
Will do. And just to confirm, I did get those documents on the chapter history page, and I also updated. So down below the buttons at the top, there are drop downs for each decade. And for some reason, we didn't have the most recent slate of officers listed. So I got that updated as well. So we're keeping it up to date.
Perfect. Thanks, Daryl, for doing all that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Next on our list is the Pro Chart Committee, and it's vacant. I know, Jennifer, I think have you asked this question on previous meetings about this committee or no? I don't remember.
Well, I think we were waiting because APCO, I'm not sure what APCO is doing with their national Pro Chart.
Okay.
And so and I see Kathy nodding because she's part of the member chapter services. I get that wrong every time. You go, Kathy.
Yeah, it's the member chapter services committee. And yeah, we might as well just wait on ours until APCO National knows what they're doing. I mean, it moved along really quickly at first when Steve Souter, this was years ago, and then now it just seems to be kind of stagnant. So I think we're just waiting on that, Tyler.
Okay. So we'll hold off on that. Peer support, Teresa says no updates, but I don't see Teresa on here. we'll go ahead and skip peer support. Turt. Linnell, are you on? I don't see her either. No updates per the agenda on that as well. Professional Development Committee. Brad is the co-chair. Doesn't look like Brad's on either. No updates on that one as well per the agenda. Flying through it. PUC update, Jennifer.
Okay, well, obviously for legislative stuff, we've got Senate Bill 24-139, which could create an enterprise board. That's actually scheduled to be heard this afternoon in the Senate Finance Committee at 2 p.m. There's no testimony taken at this hearing. And then House Bill 24-1359 was not a bill that the Legislative Committee put forward, but it came to our attention in the CCNC meeting a couple of weeks ago. This bill would have, in its original drafting, directed PSAPs and emergency management to notify the public of any hazmat spill of any size, which obviously is not desired. Oh, Kathy's got an update. Alrighty then. That happened like between last night and now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so on 1359, the bill drafters have made extensive amendments to the bill, and as it is introduced next or discussed next, any reference to public notification via emergency notification systems has been removed, and they're going to focus more on notification through their own website or CDPHE's website. So that was done by that work was done by the Legislative Committee as well, sending recommended amendments, as well as emergency management, Colorado Emergency Management Association. No update on the Resource Center funding bill because the General Assembly needs to vote on the budget long bill before they can make changes to the budget. So that's on hold. We have our proceeding for network reliability open. Proceeding 23A-0197T is open, and CenturyLink filed an updated proposed network improvement plan, and discussions are ongoing about that. The rulemaking that amends the emergency service outage rules is still ongoing, and we're waiting the next steps from the administrative law judge on that. CenturyLink filed an amended advice letter in proceeding 23AL-0486T, and conversations are ongoing in that proceeding as well. And all of those are linked on our Colorado 911 program page. We've got the EZUNet Users Group Strategic Plan Workshop this afternoon. So Kathy is ready to lead that onward and upward, which is great. And we have a task force. We had our task force meeting earlier this month, and I sent out the meeting minutes for that, as well as the recording is on our YouTube page. We have our Equal Access Committee meeting on Thursday of this week. So those who are interested in attending that's an open meeting, and the information is on our PUC 911 Advisory Task Force calendar on our webpage. We have a lunch and learn coming up in April, and that presenter will be Secular. So we've got a lot going on at the PUC. Anybody have any questions for me? Or Daryl?
No questions. Thanks for the update, Jennifer. Appreciate it. National news. Nina, it looks like Bruce is not on. Anybody have any national Nina updates that they'd like to provide in Bruce's place?
Conference registration is open for national in Orlando.
Yeah, they kind of picked a crappy week. Most people are crazy busy. So I know, like from our staff, we're trying to figure out if we can even send anybody just because of our history with how busy we are during that week. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a tough one. This is their year that they had to make up for COVID. And no, I don't think either Nina or APCO is super happy that they're both in Orlando, and they're both in Orlando in the height of summer, and Nina especially with the holiday, but they were limited on what dates they were available. So it is what it is.
Yep. Yep. I'll be curious to see how the turnout is. So.
I'll be there.
Me too. Kathy
I've
had her hand.
I've already had a show in Orlando. I've got 4 or 5 this year.
Jeez.
Yeah, I just noticed, I was looking at the meeting invite. Can we make sure to include whoever the Western Region representative for Nina is? I'm not seeing Bruce on the as being invited. So, and I usually forward it to him, but I forgot. So I apologize.
So Bruce will be our rep until national conference, and no one ran on the Western Region for Western Region directors. So the board will appoint after elections, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. APCO, Jackie.
I just had a couple updates, more for just like upcoming dates so that everybody's aware. The scholarship for our conference for the national conference is open until April 1st. So if anybody on your team wants to put in still, they still have a couple days for that. The fundamental Next Gen 911, there's 2 different dates that they have open right now. The one in Arlington, Texas is May 1st and 2nd. And then the second one that's in Fairfax, Virginia is June 27th and 28th. But that was the only important dates that I had for everybody.
Oh, Flash Day, April 1st.
Yep. Yeah, Flash Day for National APCO is April 1st for folks that might be attending that. That's all of the committee updates, new business, Walk of Heroes, Brick Memorial. For Vicky, Jennifer, you wanted to talk about this?
Thanks, I do. And actually, when I originally sent out the email, I had suggested that maybe we look at purchasing a brick on APCO's Walk of Heroes at national headquarters. And I still think that would be a nice way to honor Vicky. However, it's kind of my thinking has kind of morphed along the way, and I kind of want to open a conversation at the chapter level, and we don't have to have answers for today. But I'd like for the chapter to start thinking about how we honor our members who have passed, like going forward. We have the Walt Hardesty Award to honor Walt Hardesty, which I think is awesome. And Vicky has passed, and I just think that going forward, we've got some life members who are still with us, luckily, but someday they won't be. And I don't know if it's a space on our website to honor past members who have passed away, or if there's something else that we want to do. But I'd love to start the conversation and get some ideas rolling about how we honor our members who pass on going forward. So I'll throw that open and see what everybody else thinks.
My only concern is budgetary. I think we should honor people. I like the idea of the bricks, but the board changes. And so I think it's a good idea to have something set locally for us, such as our website, where we can have an area that is just for those people. That's my thought on it. I don't want to set up future boards to have to remember that, or we accidentally miss somebody and cause hard feelings, or something like that. So, but I think if it's at the local level, where we have a memorial area on our website. I think that's a good idea. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm not sure, after having thought about it, if a brick for Vicky at APCO headquarters is the right thing or not. So I'm not like, you're not going to offend me, anybody, if you're like, that's not really the way we should go. And I don't want to do something for one person and not do it for future. So yeah. So who else has thoughts?
I like the brick idea. I don't know if it would be worth, or if it's too broad for us to say like past, future, present, like Colorado members, or if that's just like too broad to be like, and it doesn't really like touch the heart of people that have come before us, come during or after.
Yeah, you're thinking like buy a brick and just have it say to all Colorado members who have passed away,
Or just in general, like past members, current members, future members, just like as a whole, to represent Colorado, to be there. Not necessarily like dedicated to one specific person or like passing members.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
Yeah, you could do that, and then you could do at the local level, like Kathy was talking about, maybe do a combination of both. Any other discussion on Jennifer's topic for the Walk of Heroes brick? It's a quiet group today, Jennifer.
It feels like Monday to me. Maybe it feels like Monday to everybody else too.
So Jennifer, you want to think about it and maybe throw out to the group where I'm good either way. I'm good with a combination of both. Good with doing one or the other. So whatever the group is comfortable with.
What about this? Why don't we put it on the agenda for our meeting at the conference and ask our membership what they think? And maybe we have a couple of options. We've got a generic brick option that's $250 for a 16 by 16 brick that has 12 lines. So we could do that. We could throw out the website idea, and then maybe we could take ideas from our membership at the conference and see what they think.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We'll add it to the agenda for the conference meeting, if everyone's good with that. I see a thumbs up, so we're going to move forward with it then.
Sounds great.
Election slate discussion, Jennifer and Jody. It was on the agenda as new business.
Jody, I've done a lot of talking. You go first.
Does she have sound? Because I think she said she didn't have sound.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Jody.
Well, we could.
Jody, you still there? All right, Jennifer, you're going to have to talk for her.
Oh, man. Okay. Not by choice, but Jody, if you want to dial in, I think we just had questions about the email that went out. Oh, here we go. She's going to get a different microphone. But I want to express appreciation for Yvette for doing the nominations process and going through all of that. I did go back through the bylaws and found out that I'm supposed to be running the bylaw committee. So bad on me. There's actually a lot in our bylaws that we haven't necessarily adhered to as a chapter. And I just take that as a product of, we had a lot of turnover in a short amount of time and a little bit of turmoil. And, sometimes things just fall by the wayside. And I think that's a natural progression. So I'm glad we're taking a look at the bylaws. But one of the things that the bylaws say is that we the elections committee is supposed to be headed up by the immediate past president, and she's supposed to have a committee so that there's transparency into the process and it's not just one person acting alone. And I think the chapter has been burned by one person acting alone in the past. And again, this is not blaming Yvette or anybody else for not paying attention to how we were supposed to do it, because there's a lot that we need to bring back into line, either update our bylaws for what we're currently doing or come back into line with adherence to what the bylaws are. But I guess my question, oh, go ahead, Jody. Are you back?
No, can you hear me? Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, thank God. Okay, sorry. We are having some serious bizarre issues going on over here. Keep going, Jennifer. I have been listening, so go ahead.
I think we are just looking for some clarity as to what happened behind the scenes with Sarah and the email that Event sent out that said, after talking to Tyler, Sarah Shever is going to go for the second VP position. So can you enlighten us, Tyler, on that conversation?
Yeah. So she had a desire to fill either role. She specifically put in for Eastern Regional Director. According to Yvette, the bylaws say because Chris and I are already on the board, if there's a challenge, if somebody else is already running for that position, she wouldn't be eligible to run for that position, i.e. Nate, and I can't remember the other individual that's running for that position. So there was already people interested, and so she wouldn't be eligible for that position. So because she had interest, I said, well, could she run then for second VP, because currently there were no other people outside of our agency running for that? And she said yes. So that's how that conversation took place, because she wants to be a part of it. So I didn't want her to be, I didn't think it was fair. I understand the concept on the Eastern Regional, if there are other people outside the agency that are running for it, and the bylaws say that she wouldn't be eligible, that makes sense. Nobody else outside of our agency is running for second VP. So I thought it would, in my mind, I think it's fair that the three of them can run against each other in theory, assuming nobody else puts in. And that's how that would work. So that was that whole discussion. Does that make sense?
So
Yeah,
I may have missed the bylaw piece, Jen, you were discussing. So I think that what caught my eye was that no more than 2 members from the same agency may serve on the board at any time. So having Tyler, Chris, and then we have 3 people running from South Metro against each other for second VP, which guarantees obviously that is a South Metro person. Now, to Tyler's point, we didn't have any interest at this point from any outside agencies besides South Metro. So appreciative of all the interest that South Metro has put forth, because it's a real challenge, and the fact that you guys have that many is awesome. But that being said, in our bylaws, it wouldn't allow for somebody from South Metro to run for any of the positions, because you would be immediate past and Chris would be president. So that's where I was like, wait, are we following within our bylaws, or do we need to make some adjustments? And then I was also confused about how Sarah switched from one to the other, but that makes sense. So thank you for that explanation. And Kathy, you're more experienced with the bylaws than I am. Am I reading that right?
I think, and I don't have them up in front of me, I'm sorry, but I think it says in there, in some wordsmithing that I did back in the day, it says it is preferred that we don't have numerous people from the same, I'm paraphrasing here, numerous people from the same agency. However, if that is where the interest is, I believe that we are okay with that. And since we don't have anybody else putting in for that, I know Tyler would be immediate past and Chris would be president, and then we'd have second VP. I think when that was written, we found that to be acceptable when we decided to put those bylaws into place.
Oh,
Yeah,
Daryl.
and I guess my thought is, after next year, then it goes back to 2 people in theory, right, from one agency anyways. So not to take away what past president does, but yeah.
So it's there in C that Daryl helpfully pulled up. And so Kathy's right. It's preferred that no more than 2 members from the same agency may serve on the board at any time. However, if the second or third submits their intent to run, they'll be allowed to run if no other chapter member from another agency submits their intent to run for the same position. So South Metro people, all 3 of them running for second VP is allowed according to our current bylaws. But I appreciate the clarity provided into the conversation about the email that came from Yvette, because I want to make sure that we are very transparent to our members about the way that we're conducting business. And I don't want there to be any appearance of backroom.
Backdoor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm glad to hear that there isn't any, and I appreciate the clarity that is provided on that. In other words, I don't want people to come after South Metro for trying to game the system, because that's clearly not what's trying to happen here.
Correct. Yeah, I just wanted to give the opportunity to her if she wanted it to run, because she was between both positions, and I think she knew that the other 2 were putting in for second VP, so that's why she put in for Eastern Regional. And then when she found out she's not eligible based off of the rules, the question was, well, can I run for second VP then against my coworkers? And I said, I don't see why you couldn't. And that was the whole conversation with Yvette. So that's how we landed there. Yeah.
So the question that I have for the rest of the board, since we want to make sure that we're doing things out in the open, is the rest of the board okay with that decision as well?
I am, because it follows the bylaws.
I won't comment. I'll stay neutral. How about that, Jennifer? Any other opinion?
I don't see any problem with it if it's 2 people from the same agency that were already running for it. So I don't see any problem in having her switch to be in line with the bylaws and just have 3 people from the same agency. It's obviously going to be someone from that agency regardless.
Yeah, and now that I understand how that switch happened, it makes a lot of sense. The email just kind of didn't make sense. I think it's probably at this point going to be more awkward for Tyler. When one of his people wins and or gets voted on and 2 don't. So yeah, I think I'm good with that, Jennifer, unless we have any other discussion bylaw wise that we needed to have. I do think that
Ronnie. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jody.
I do think it's also another piece to remind everybody, and I don't know how we do this. Maybe it's with outreach or membership or whatever, that we're starting to drop off again of having agencies put forth people to sit on the board. And I don't know if it's they don't understand. Maybe they think it's too much workload. Maybe they think that. It just seems to be like that we're narrowing again with the number of agencies that are putting forth the effort to let their people serve. So that's probably a side note to address at some point.
Ronnie, Bobby, Jackie, Ken.
Sorry, I stepped away and I did not hear everything.
That's okay. We're just making sure, and for the record, I am also fine with this. I just want to make sure that our business is being done out in the open so that no one can come after any board member for trying to do stuff in the dark. I'm not saying that's what happens here. I'm saying that I'm trying to make sure that we can't be accused of that. That's all.
Absolutely.
Follow the bylaws.
Right.
That's my input.
So with that discussion, I think, Tyler, that we're ready to go ahead and put out the balloting.
Okay. And then does Yvette do that? Or do
Yeah. So I will get with Yvette. She wanted to put it on the chapter credit card. And so if the board is good with moving forward with elections, I will get with Yvette and we will get the election buddy paid for so that she can get it sent out.
Perfect. Any other discussion on that before Jody goes forth and does good? Nope. Perfect. Last thing on new business is Jennifer again for cadence of meetings to the website.
Actually, Ronnie reminded me after I sent this in that we talked about that at the January meeting. And so for Chris and Tyler, who will preside over the meeting at the conference in May, we've kind of gotten away from doing this, but I'd like to ask the board if we could go back to, at that meeting, setting the meeting dates and times at that May meeting for the rest of the year, so that Ronnie can then put them all out on our website, so that we have proper notice to our membership about when the meetings are and what time and how to get into them, so that we're in line with our bylaws practices for proper notice of meetings. We also have gotten away from having in-person meetings, and those were helpful to stimulate participation and interest in the chapter, especially if we held them around the state. So I'd love to have the board consider doing those. We used to do them once a quarter. We'd have an in-person and hybrid option, but it was a way to have some networking among the chapter, stimulate interest in the chapter. It was a way for the board to get out into the state and meet people in the farther flung areas. It also creates opportunities for our commercial partners to interact with our members if they want to sponsor a lunch type of thing. So I wanted to throw that out there and see what the board thought about doing that for the 2024-2025 year.
I think it's a great idea putting dates on a calendar and then advertising them, and everybody knows.
And again, we're happy to host a meeting or two at our shop. So for the metro area, it's easy for us. If other folks if we want to maybe do half in person, half online, or
yeah, the bylaws say 1 a quarter in person option. And we can, and like I said, having one in the Front Range and one on the Western Slope, and I'd love to see us venture out into the northeastern part of the state or the southwestern. There's other entities that meet in that type of manner. CCNC moves their stuff around the state, and we could maybe piggyback or coordinate with those, or we could see if the Colorado Training Standards Institute is interested in partnering on meetings. There's all kinds of different ways we could do it. I just think that it would be great to get out there in person. And I'm sure Gina would be willing to host in Garfield for Western Slope.
Oh, heck yeah.
And or up in Meeker. For that matter, the PUC task force meetings in their May, July, and September meetings go out into the state in different locations, so we could piggyback on those.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We can add it to the agenda for our meeting in April as well, so that we can line out the meeting dates for. I'd like to do the rest of this year, and then the first, basically for the next board, if you will, line out the dates, and then if we can narrow down locations. So I don't know if we can figure out who's willing to host, and then we can kind of maybe narrow down some of that prior to the meeting so that we have an idea, so we can let our membership know at the meeting, this meeting is going to be in wherever, this meeting is going to be here for the online ones. We only need 4, sounds like, right? 4
in person.
Yeah.
And then the board's supposed to meet, so
if we do the 4, we just need 4 people that are willing to host. So
right.
Think that through. If you guys want to send either me or Chris, if you're willing to host, and then we can at least have a good idea of maybe we can schedule that with you guys prior to, so that we can advertise that at the meeting. if that works for everybody, for the hosting side. Any other comments or concerns on that? Easy enough. There's nothing else on the agenda, so I'll open it up to the group real quick to see if there's any last minute things that maybe we forgot to talk about or we haven't talked about. I'll kind of open it up to the floor if anyone has anything for the group before we adjourn. Nothing. The only quick question I had is, does anybody have contact information for Larimer County's Honor Guard? I know we've used them in the past for our conference. We're trying to find somebody to do the colors. We have two options. We can either have an Honor Guard bring the colors in if we can find somebody willing to do it, or we can just post the colors and have them posted at the beginning. We've got two flavors.
Tyler, I think your best bet would be reaching out to Matt Harwell. He always had the contact person for that team.
Okay. I'll see if he'll get back to me. I'll reach out to him.
Tyler, doesn't South Metro have a pipes and drums?
So we have a pipes and drums. I was told no.
Bummer.
We did get the Emerald Society though. So the Emerald Society is going to come do that for us, which is the same thing as our pipes and drums. That's why, but our pipes and drums is separate from our Honor Guard.
Right.
So I've got a meeting with my chief this afternoon. I'm going to ask him if we can, because he's in charge of the Honor Guard, if we can maybe get a few folks up there to do the Honor Guard for us quickly, or if not, then yeah, we'll have to reach out. Last time I had a brief conversation with him, he said, we'll reach out to Larimer County. And we haven't had any luck with that. So I was just curious if anybody had any contacts, but I can get a hold of Matt and see. Worst case scenario, we just have the colors posted. Pipes and drums can still do their thing. We just have to figure out how we work through that. So not the end of the world.
Awesome.
So, all right. Anything else for the greater good before we adjourn? Nothing. I will take a motion to adjourn at 10:45.
So moved.
Anyone want a second?
Second.
Ken seconds. All right. Motion is second. Any all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. You guys all have a great rest of your week. For the conference group, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.